In the Holy Bible, hell is referred to and discussed multiple times over both the New and Old Testaments. The descriptions given in the scriptures are visual, auditory, and physical in nature. Near-death experiences experienced by thousands of individuals have given scientific and religious communities glimpses of what the afterlife experiences are like, both good and bad. Although these are not the only sources of what lies beyond death, the countless recounts can all be somewhat grouped together based on the main similarities that are reported.
Answers to what is this all about? Am I crazy? Was it a dream? What is it all about? And just knowing that other people had had this experience as well made them feel much more comfortable with it. And we were able to tell them some very validating things that, you're not the only one. Other people have this. People who aren't crazy have this. And that was quite helpful to them, I think.
I was wandering around kind of telling my story, my near-death experience, to just about anyone that would listen. And an aunt mentioned to me that she heard about a support group that studies this phenomena, and they're trying to find out what causes it, what's it all about.
I was left with the idea that I was the only one who had had this experience. I didn't know what it was, and whenever I would try to even talk myself out of it and say, oh, that was just a hallucination or a dream, I knew that wasn't true. So I just kind of put it in it didn't fit into any pigeonhole in my mind, so I just left it there somewhere, floating around, not attached to anything. And about 4 or 5 years later, I remember I was in the dentist's office, and I was reading a magazine, and it mentioned Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and people who should have died but didn't, and what happened to them. And I remember being so startled that, my God, they're talking about the same thing that I went through.
Although the Bible goes into detail about hell and what it takes to get there or what it takes to avoid going there, the fine details and aspects of hell not mentioned in the Bible can be gathered from these alleged first-hand accounts of people who have been there temporarily, usually due to medical events which cause them to be clinically dead for minutes at a time, or dreamlike visions which take their soul or spirit to that place temporarily. To gain knowledge on a subject, you must study that subject, practice it, and cultivate your skill set within your craft. But in this realm, knowledge works differently. All the things that one did in their life are plainly made available to you, and the overwhelming feeling of guilt for the choices that one has made to get there. Knowledge of others is also available instantaneously. Many NDEs claim that just by looking at someone, you can know who they were and why they're there. We can infer that the reason for this can be found in this scripture here. Since one of the main functions of salvation is the removal of guilt or shame of one's past mistakes, it's clear why there can be no deception or self-justification in this place. Everything about a person, thoughts, motives, intentions, hidden sins, etc., they're all immediately visible to others and to all the spiritual beings present. The nature of God, or Yahweh, is transparency. Unlike esoteric traditions or religions, anyone can have the knowledge of the truth that is freely given to all those who seek it. You might wonder how it's possible for one to be inside a place where the true definition of the eternal flame takes place. How can one be in a constant state of burning without being consumed? Once again, many NDEs may have the answer to this. Many who've glimpsed hell speak of a terrifying reality. Not only is the torment unbearable, but the souls themselves cannot die. Bodies regenerate, pain resets, and the flame scorches endlessly. But it never consumes. It echoes the words of Christ in this passage here, where the fire is never quenched and the worm never dies. This is a sort of cursed immortality, an eternal existence apart from God where even death is denied. Yahweh's traits are often associated with physical or other attributes like love, strength, or wisdom. But the scriptures go further to say that He is all these things instead of just being associated with them. Everything that we know today as being good, things like health, wellness, excitement, pleasure, and success, for example, all of these things are connected to Yahweh, or to God. The sun shines on the righteous and the unrighteous, referenced in this passage here, but the same cannot be said for the afterlife. The absence of God's presence also takes these good things with him. This is the main reason for lack of joy, strength, water, oxygen, whatever it is, in this realm. The torment is a secondary but necessary function that also can be personified by God's wrath. Unlike other places in the spiritual realm that are not distinctly given much information about their location, Hades, or hell, is located under the earth. Through scientific observation, we know that the earth is made up of multiple layers of various elements. If it were possible for humanity to travel to this place using environmental suits, for example, you would most likely see nothing more than molten rock, magma, and other elements. Hades exists in another dimension entirely. That's not governed by the laws of physics that we are familiar with today. The many passages allude to hell being under the earth, but not on the same plane of existence. I find it interesting that the Holy Bible not only describes the underworld as a place, but something that has personified traits. Multiple NDEs claim that they experienced a reality where Hades is not only populated with souls or demonic beings, but the entire place itself is an entity. In a metaphysical or theological sense, hell could be understood as a living system, a realm that responds to sin and feeds on corruption and torments souls. If God is the source of order, peace, and love, then hell, in contrast, could be a place where chaotic spiritual forces take on a life of their own. Not life as we know it, but a parody of life, fueled by sin, torment, and death. These same NDEs have multiple claims of people describing the realm as the ground moved with hatred. The whole place knew I was there. The air itself was alive with despair. This language suggests that hell is not just alive, but that it's intelligent and responsive, like a hostile organism or a spiritual system that recognizes souls, reacts to them, and even contributes to torment. It is understood that based on this scripture found here, death is a permanent construct, despite what many belief systems think cannot be reversed. The only NDEs are from people who skated on the fine line between death and life through traumatic medical or spiritual processes, and have almost always been sent back to the physical realm afterward. The popular depictions of this realm throughout history have all tried to paint a visual picture for us about the nature of the reality here. But these quote-unquote first-hand accounts have further described the original words stated by Christ in the Bible by filling in the blanks. This is Brandon. I hope this video gave you some insight on a topic that many know about, but not in great detail. If you have thoughts to add, share them below. I'd love to banter with your opinions and arguments.